Hi all, thanks for joining today. I'm Joyce, I'm a project manager for the Argyll Cross Country Trust. I'm one of about 30 staff, which is increasing on a kind of daily rate at the moment, covering Argyll and Bute. We've got staff on Islay, staff throughout the mainland, doing a variety of different roles, working in peatland, working on temperate rainforests, working on community work, a big variety of things that we do, and which we're going to cover just in a moment. My role within ACT is on community engagement and climate change, and that being a kind of really important thing I've done at a local level. So what I see happening today with the work of Lindsay, Heather and the rest of the Cardross Community Action Network is this is climate action in action. This is kind of what you want to see. This is community groups accessing local knowledge relevant to themselves, relevant that's local to Helensburgh, to people that live here. This idea of one time where the global climate crisis was something that was almost too big to reach out to. How could you manage something so massive? And actually, when you start thinking of climate action as something that happens at a local level, something that we can manage in our daily lives. And it can be as simple as insulating a house. It makes you resilient to the effects of climate change. It makes your house warmer, you're healthier and happier. Okay, so it's a better society, a better community. I'm going to see if it does work. That's excellent. Thank you for that. So ACT is made up of several different projects at the moment. Starting with the rainforest, we are trying to join up parts of the rainforest. Argyll is really unique. It's got this massive natural capital. We've got some of the best Atlantic temperate rainforests in the world, and we're just trying to join that up. If you get a chance, I've got the Atlantic rainforest map in the main room through there, a map of what's going on around Helensburgh as well. We've got the Peatland Initiative, which is mainly on Islay at the moment, and that's about trying to make sure that between these two projects, we're trying to sequester as much carbon as possible, as well as just building that natural capital, all this kind of really rich natural sites in Argyll and Bute, which makes Argyll and Bute really unique and very biodiverse and rich. Outdoor STEM learning and Mackie Pups is about trying to encourage people to learn outdoors as much as possible. So I oversee the outdoor STEM learning project, and Mackie Pups is the outdoor nursery based in Kilmorey at Lochilpid. Between these things, we're really just trying to encourage children, young people and educators to get outdoors as much as possible and utilise what we've got in Argyll and Bute. Learn to be outdoors. Most recently, we've had through the Community Planning Partnership, and this is going into the kind of climate change work now, strategic climate planning managers have joined ACT, and their job is to develop a kind of climate strategy, a kind of high level climate strategy for Argyll and Bute. So it's great to be able to work with him and make sure that the ABCAN, which I'm going to speak about more in a moment, and the climate conversations develops a really streamlined, collaborative approach to make sure that work's not being duplicated, that work is fresh, it's meaningful and relevant to communities in Argyll and Bute. And all of these things contribute to ACT as a whole. It allows us to have a really broad base, so we're working with people and the environment to make Argyll and Bute a better place. I want to talk now about climate change, and climate change is an everything issue. It's an issue that will impact every part of our life going forward. And when I think of climate change, I don't think of polar bears or melting ice caps. I think of people with mold on their walls. I think of people who can't heat their home. And this damning statistic that a survey was done in the UK in 2023, which showed that people who are in the survey reported severe mental distress doubled if their home became too cold. This is a real world issue. And it's not just about cold, it's about protecting ourselves from the heat as well. It's about making sure when we speak about climate action, we're not speaking about the kind of net zero 2045, which is of course important. But it means we're adapting to climate change because it's here already. We've experienced kind of in the last few years the hottest summers ever recorded. We had really dramatic flooding in October last year. All these things are set to continue. So this kind of event here today is really fantastic. It's about people accessing support for themselves, reducing their carbon footprint because they've got a warmer home. They're putting less stress on health services, on mental health services, because they've got warmer homes, they're happier people. All these things are really important. So it's an everything issue. So carbon literacy, which is why I'm here. The Carbon Literacy Project is founded in Manchester. It's one of 100 transformative programs recognised by the UN. It's a day's worth of training, a day's worth of education. And at ACT, we're a delivery partner for the carbon literacy project. We've trained about 100 people so far in Argyll and Bute. We've trained about a third of the councillors who represent the Argyll and Bute constituents. We've trained the Chief Executive of Argyll and Bute Council. We've trained the Head of Argyll and Bute Council. We've trained heads of organisations. So in all that, we hope to have quite a big multiplying impact, more and more people sort of picking up and making the bigger decisions with a climate lens, which is really important. Carbon literacy projects are a day's worth of learning. It shouldn't be more than 8 hours. It should be relevant to your life, your lived experience. So I received training from another organisation who are based in the Central Belt. It didn't really apply to my life or my circumstance. They were telling me about, buying an electric car, using an air source heat pump. Of course, all these things are really important. But actually, when you live in Argyll and Bute, the idea that you can just cycle places doesn't work. The idea you can just jump on a bus doesn't often work. So the training's meant to be quite relevant. What can you achieve within your capacity to become more resilient and adapt? So it's really local learning to help local people. That's what it should be about. Relevant learning for local solutions to a global problem. It's a certificate, it's a certified course, so there is an assessment part to it as well. It's not particularly challenging, it's more just trying to ask, what can you do within your capacity to make a change? And it covers 4 topics that looks at very briefly at the science of climate change. What are the actual impacts of climate change? So less to do with waste, more to do with what are your direct impacts on the climate through greenhouse gases. It looks a lot of social equity in climate change, knowing that the people who have had the least impact on climate change are those that are going to suffer the most. Those are the people that are, people who endure poverty, have had very little impact on climate change, but those are the people who will suffer the most from climate change impacts. What you can do to act on climate change, which is related to your assessment, so those things you can do in your daily lives. Now, if you're a councillor, your assessment pledge has to be significantly more than what you'd be if you're a member of the community. So it's very much aimed at what you can achieve, and strategies and skills for communicating action on climate change. These are really important words, because if that was outside the door today, fewer people would have turned up. If you're offering people a warmer home, they're going to buy into that. That's a selling point. That's the way to get people through the door. The term climate change, unfortunately, is often a stigmatizing or polarizing subject now, which it shouldn't be, because a society that's adapting to climate change, that's making people more resilient to the effects of climate change, is better for everyone. It's a greener place, it's a healthier place, it's people networking, it's a stronger society. So when I talk about being an everything issue, it really is that. It's about trying to decarbonise ourselves in a way that we all benefit. Currently, I think it's about 80,000 citizens certified, mainly in the UK. Argyll and Bute Council is a carbon neutral organisation, as our ACT, and we're trying to encourage more organisations to become carbon neutral organisations. The reason for that being that organisations that are carbon neutral tend to reduce their carbon footprint by between 5 and 15%. Different toolkits are made, so there's a toolkit for a local authority, there's toolkits for various different organisations. And the course that's been designed, or is currently being designed for Argyll and Bute residents, is going to be at 631. So it's a meaningful way to learn about climate change and also have an impact as well. I think I've probably only got 1 slide left. Let's see. Yeah. So from next month, we will be delivering carbon literacy training. It'll be delivered online or face-to-face, whatever you want. If there's a small group of you, we'll do it face-to-face. And it's free. And it's delivered through ABCAN. So the Argyll and Bute Climate Action Network, if I go back to the start, let's see if this works. We're now being funded by the Scottish Government to ACT to establish an Argyll and Bute Climate Action Network. The idea behind this is that to really try and foster communities that work well together. So making sure there's not duplication of work, make sure that we can learn from each other. If there's a really good food growing society in Argyll and Bute, let's give them money to expand that. Let's give them money to do a learning exchange so they can teach other people how to do it really well too. That's what it's about. It's about trying to build that kind of stronger communities and societies. There's an engagement officer employed for Helensburgh and Lomond. There's going to be one for Mackay, one for Ollie, and one for Bute and Cowell as well in time. These people are there to deliver training. These people are there to support you beyond carbon literacy training, just in your daily lives to adapt to and mitigate climate change. The Scottish Government has, within the Hubs project, is looking for more people to be carbon literate, because more people who are carbon literate mean more people who understand the consequences of going beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius and meeting that sort of net zero 2045 target. So we're really keen to get as many people through carbon literate as possible. Argyll Butte Council, again, they followed the strategy, so the more people that kind of are on the same track as that, the better as far as we're concerned. If it's a business, great. If it's a community, great. If it's just a kind of diverse group from throughout Argyll and Butte, that's great as well. Because what's really important in the carbon literacy training is it's about you. It's not about someone telling you what you have to do. It's about you understanding the facts and then working from that to what you can change in your life. That's what it should be about. Now, that can be done at an organisational level. It can be done at a community level. But you make an individual pledge, like something you can do within your own agency, and also a group pledge as part of your assessment. And we find that kind of joined up working, where people have to sit around a table and say, well, how do we change this? How do we access this opportunity? Sitting down with people of a similar mind or a similar organisation can make the difference there. Yeah, and I'll just carry on from questions on that as well, because I'm kind of done. Have you got any questions or any thoughts? We'll probably offer a variety of different formats initially for people to sign up to. We have delivered it face-to-face over a day, but we find it's more beneficial for people to go away and sleep on it, and have an idea and go away, rather than just immediately sort of jotting down a kind of knee-jerk response to the climate crisis. So it's best to do it over maybe 2 days at least. Yeah. The ABCAN Hub is really quite keen to make sure that communities are empowered to take action on climate change themselves. So rather than a kind of city-centric or urban-centric approach, which just doesn't always apply in other parts of the world, it's like, well, everywhere's got unique challenges and opportunities. So let's maximise it. Let's really capitalise on that and make sure that local people such as can have a really strong say in, if they're aware, for example, that warmer homes is a concern to people in Helensburgh, then, support events like this, make sure they run more often. Get the people around the table that are important, rather than a kind of thing that's happened in the past, which is often this idea it's all about net zero 2045, it's all about carbon reduction, and that can alienate a lot of people.